Hello there, Qckslvrslash here today, and today we have a video courtesy of NetCup, and they're driving the Tier 4 German cruiser, the Karlsruhe. And I don't know if I've said it, but this is probably my least favorite ship in-game. I have a lot of ships that I dislike for one reason or another, but this ship was painful for me. The only thing that kept me motivated when this line came out was I had already sailed the Königsberg because of the set of in-game missions that allowed you to unlock the Königsberg and one of the Russian DDs by getting a Kraken, if I recall, to test out the lines a few days ahead of time. And knowing what the Königsberg was like, I subjected myself to the punishment that is this ship and ground through to what is one of my favorite ships. Now, while NetCup is sailing down to the south to join the bulk of his team, I'm going to, if I can get these guns to, I can't. They've messed with the replay system and you no longer have easy free look control. Well, at some point you'll just notice that he's running a flag that says, I followed the clues and all I got was this stupid flag. And it's actually a series of missions in World of Warships. Well, in the web client actually, the URLs were hints. And if you followed them, you got all these parts to a code that gave you this orange flag here. Something minor, but haven't seen it around a whole lot. So I thought I'd point it out, and maybe it'll keep people a little more eagle-eyed about what's going on in the web client in the future. Back to the game. So this is a tier 3 and 4 match. You know, the tier 4s can only get plus or minus 1, so here they're going to see 5s or 3s. And in this case, he lucked out. He sees a whole bunch of 3s. There are some carriers which can prove a little troublesome, because really at tier 4, nothing can stop a carrier. Maybe the Yubari, but that's a Yubari. It has the AA cooldown at tier 4. And this game has started oddly slow. I really expected teams to run into one another a lot quicker than they have. And not a lot seems to be going down at the south. So I suspect a lot of the team down here is running up to the north to kind of go to their cap and defend it. And already one of the ships in the north has been lost. So you notice NetCup sees the enemy just on the other side of the island, so just based on his position, he's trying to lob shells over there and get a couple hits. He hasn't managed yet, but hopefully he can. And more ships are getting spotted down here in the south, which makes you start to worry. He is starting to land a couple hits on that Kohlberg, but nothing too serious. Yet there's nothing else in range, so might as well be firing at him. And this game's still kind of going slow. The teams are starting to shoot at one another, but it just feels like there's not the normal, rush in. Normally you lose 2 or 3 ships down here, 2 or 3 right up here in the first couple minutes of a match at these tiers because people are just a little over aggressive, and in this one, everyone's playing cautious. NetCup hasn't managed to do too much damage, and we're coming up on 5 minutes in, but with the tentative nature of this match, that's no real surprise. And I really do suspect things are going to change as the game progresses and people become a little more desperate to close in and try to finish off ships that have been partially damaged already. And, well, you can see that V170 has sailed right through the middle, basically bum rushing the Hosho, trying to get some torpedoes in, and an easy carrier kill. We'll see if it works out for him, but you'd be surprised. I have a couple secondary kills with my tier 4 carriers because tier 4 ships are about the only thing small enough and weak enough that you can really get effective damage. Although that said, I know one or two people who have secondary build midways just for the lol. And it looks like the V170 may finish that host show off. He does do it, but he dies in exchange. And that's a really big exchange. You know, you're trading a destroyer for a carrier, and at these tiers, having air superiority really does unlock things for NetCup's team. The friendly carrier doesn't really have to worry about anything. His fighters can just spot, and, well, NetCup did a great job there predicting that enemy Kolberg pushing out, or, you know, just shot at the edge of land and got a little lucky. But either way, the Kolberg is down, and now there's the bane of all low-tier ships, the St. Louis. And St. Louis has been changed a little. It's gotten a bit of a nerf just in the way its armor behaves, is my understanding, but still a great ship with a lot of guns, capable of doing a lot of damage and or lighting a lot of fires. But that's not slowing NetCup down. He is continuing to barrage him, getting some solid hits out of the AP, swaps to HE to finish him off, gets the kill, and it's now 2 kills, 26,000 damage. Not a bad start. And furthermore, the enemy base seems pretty much unprotected. And you can count what's left, and, you know, 4 battleships, cruiser, and destroyer. Well, all the battleships, the cruiser, and the destroyer are spotted. So you could easily just sneak into the cap, sit around, and probably win the game. More so if he were a destroyer, but at this tier, you never know what the enemy team is going to do. But NetCup has slowed up. I think he's just trying to think through his options here right now to make the smartest decision he can, not just rush in, you know, unassisted and getting himself killed. And he's requesting support in chat. He wants people up here. He wants support against these BBs, and it looks like he's deciding that those are what need to get dealt with next. He's not going to go into the cap. He is going to assist with the South Carolina and the Kaiser, which is a bit of an interesting choice. I don't think it's a bad choice. I just personally would have sailed into that cap to try to turn people around. And, you know, maybe don't plan on staying there. Get in, get out. But force a couple of these ships in the south to go, oh no, our cap, and potentially, you know, turn broadside to try to come back and sacrifice themselves to the enemy. And things are still kind of just progressing at a so-so pace. NetCup's done a very good job this game. He's played smart. He hasn't exposed his ship to any undue damage. And, you know, he took out the ships one-on-one, one at a time. And that's what you have to do in really any cruiser. If you're alone, you better only be engaging one target at a time. If you've got support, you know, mingle with your support so that you can rotate between one another and trade who is taking those hits. And, well, NetCup is doing the sneaky thing. He's backed himself in, slowly keeping that island just to his northwest to provide cover from that South Carolina, and is ready for this enemy cruiser to come busting around the corner. And that just shows good map awareness. There's a lot of times players may get wrapped up with these 2 ships to the north, go, okay, I'm safe, I don't have to worry, and completely miss their back door, suddenly find torpedoes or just a heavy ship right behind them. I know I did it last night. I was in my Atlanta. I thought I was safe, taking long-range pot shots, and a Fiji appeared out of nowhere and absolutely wrecked me. Now, it's looking like NetCup has no intention of making this a gun battle. He's led his torpedoes, trying to anticipate what that Svetlana is going to do, and is ready with the AP shells. And this is going to be a duel. The Svetlana is a fairly deadly ship in the right hands. It's fast, it's got a lot of guns, and is capable of really dishing the damage out. Unfortunately, it is paper thin. As you can see there, 3 citadels. Well, there's another one, and one more ship down. And Netcup is up to 45,000 damage and has 3 kills. He kept the rudder over, anticipating the potential for torpedoes to come. Easily dodges them, his hydroacoustic search picking it up nice and early. And he identifies the next threat. And to me, that's this Wyoming. You can see him swapping to his torpedoes momentarily there. It's not necessarily to launch torpedoes. If you just tap 3, even if you don't have torpedoes loaded, with a target selected, you get that gray indicator. And using that, you can tell if someone is going forward, ahead, whether they're turning one way or another, to really predict where they're going to be. You can see he's got it up again. He has nowhere to be shooting. So he's just watching it. He's got torpedoes ready, but he's just assessing, judging what this Wyoming is going to do. And it looks like that Wyoming maybe had an offensive name and got force switched with a name like that. But Netcup he's ready. And that's really the key to success here. Now, the Wyoming disappears. But that gray indicator, the lead marker, was advancing forward. So using just a bit of mental math, some timing in your head, you can predict when you need to be firing those torpedoes. He gets a first volley off, gets the ship going ahead, and brings his rudder hard over because he has another set of torpedoes. And if this first set doesn't hit, even if it does, it's probably not killing the Wyoming. But the Wyoming is going to react. He's going to turn, he's going to do something. And once you get a battleship turning or reacting, they're very slow to cancel out that reaction. So you can see he eats only one of the torpedoes, and you notice when Netcup led those, they were a little behind. He was anticipating that Wyoming to turn in and or slow down. The second set is still going, he's working his guns, and this Wyoming is making a big mistake here. Completely ignoring Netcup right now. You know, Netcup is a small cruiser. This Wyoming, loading the right ammo and managing to hit him, has the potential to pretty much one-hit Netcup. Unfortunately, the guy's using HE, and I brought this up the other day on the Isuzuchi game. I personally believe battleships should be shelling cruisers at this tier with AP, and you can see that enemy Nassau does a heck of a lot more damage than the Wyoming managed. And I personally believe that's just due to better ammo choice. Unfortunately, the Nassau turns right into one of Netcup's torpedoes, giving him a 4th kill and 64,000 damage. He's having quite the game, and it's not over yet. He's on fire, his rudder is jammed, but he's got torpedoes, he's got a set in the water, the next ones are about to load, but his guns are ready, so he swaps back, just trying to get every chance at a fire or a flood in before he inevitably goes here, and that is how I suspect this one is ending. You know, there's not a lot of hope for a cruiser with this kind of hit points this close to a battleship, but maybe you can manage something that means that battleship dies after you go out. And he's doing just that. He's got a fire, he's keeping his guns going. Unfortunately, that set of torps misses and he loses a little more health, but he's got 2 more sets ready. And I suspect somewhere in here, this Wyoming is going to kind of lose track of how many sets Netcup has fired and when he's going to have a reload. Now, that's one of those tricky things that you just have to get used to, is knowing how many torpedo tubes an enemy ship has and what their arcs are. You know, it's possible here that that Wyoming thought there's no possible way Netcup turned far enough to launch his torpedoes off. But I'm assuming that's before he saw them and went, well, crap, there's my game. He floods out, Netcup picks up the Kraken, he's up to 100,000 damage, and things are pretty much secured. He gets hit 400 hit points, hits the repair, he's turning hard, he's got to get out, and personally, I would be looking at the ship shooting at me. I'm not sure entirely what he was looking at there, and it may have gotten him killed. Ah, I know what he was doing. He was typing in chat. I'm guessing he just assumed he was dead, started to type, and wound up driving straight and giving an easy target. But this game is over. It's 1 versus 4. There is an aircraft carrier in play. I'm saving us the 3 minutes and hopping to the post-battle. And what a screen to look at, especially for Tier 4. 211,000 credits, 4,200 XP, Kraken Unleashed, Devastating Strike, 100,573 damage, a slew of shells, the Kraken, the 5 kills, and some Citadels on that Svetlana who came around the corner not ready to fight and died. So well done, Netcup. I like getting videos like this, proving that even though I dislike the ship, it is still capable of doing a great job in the right set of hands. And it just proves, you know, the captain's the one who matters, not the ship. And it should come no surprise, top of team, 1418 experience, a large margin above the next closest, which is the Hosho. And that's probably thanks to that V170 who wiped the enemy carrier out so early. It just allowed the friendly Hosho to work unimpeded. Now, as far as the actual damage, 2 of the big kills were to those battleships. Like, that's half the damage right there, all in one battleship. And the rest was the 3 cruisers. You know, equal tiered and lower tiered, but he took them out. And the reason he was able to do that was he was fighting them one-on-one, not 3 of them shooting at him. That's how you get yourself killed quickly. And you'll notice he always was cautious how he approached, how he advanced, and while he was doing it alone, he never got into a situation where he was alone against multiple enemy ships. And end of the day, took home 201,000 credits, 4,200 experience, which great chunk towards getting through the ship, and I'm sure he's happy about that. Anyways, thank you, Netcup. If you guys enjoyed this, please consider subscribing or giving the video a thumbs up. Both help me out. As always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you guys later.